Excuse me, you've got your sticker on you. You?
They're not very sticky.
Oh, someone dropped it.
Yeah, not too bad. Isn't he or these like council meetings get a lot more attendance? I think maybe I should develop to election or something.
You've got your sticker. Someone dropped his sticker.
I got mine. It's nearly fallen off, but I got it.
standing for the men, women and children who've been slaughtered in Gaza. Let's have a minute's silence for those
Please be
dead.
seated, thank you.
Show some respect.
Welcome everyone to today's full council meeting. Welcome to members of the public who are attending in the public gallery, those in the conference hall and those watching this
Thank you
meeting
very
via
much,
our
everyone.
YouTube channel. For those in the building, I would like to draw your attention to the emergency evacuation procedure. Please leave the chamber by the nearest exit and congregate by the cathedral. As chair of this meeting, I would like to remind everyone to treat each other with due courtesy, tolerance and respect. Disruptions to this meeting will not be tolerated, and if there is continued disruption, I will have no choice but to adjourn the meeting. So, moving straight on to agenda item 2, apologies for absence. I have received apologies from Councillors Hussain, Davies and Francis. Do we have any other apologies?
Kex Alexander. Desi Alexander.
Thank you, Councillor Glamis. Anybody else? Zoe?
I understand Councillor Bales can't make it due to childcare, unless Councillor Bales is here.
I don't know. Has the WIP not been notified? Chin? No. Okay. Thank you.
She'd sent an email. So.
All right. Thank you. Declarations of interest. Are there any councillors here today who have any interest to declare regarding the items on today's agenda? No? That's brilliant. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 4, minutes of the previous meeting. I move that the minutes of the previous meeting of full council held on the 12th of December 2023 be agreed as a correct record. Do I have a seconder?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I second those minutes.
Thank you, Councillor. Can I take it that the minutes are agreed?
Can I just say I have had a message from Councillor Bales, but it was on my WhatsApp. So
We've noted apologies anyway. Thank you, Tim. So can I take it that the minutes are agreed? Aye. Thank you. Agenda item 5, Lord Mayor's business. I don't have any, so that's good. Agenda item 6, public forum. 30 minutes will be allowed for this item, which is split into 15 minutes for petitions and statements and 15 minutes for questions. Details of all the petitions, statements and questions received have been published on our website. I'll go through the list, calling on those that have indicated they plan to attend the meeting. Speakers are asked to pay attention to the traffic lights on the dais and to start to wrap up when the lights turn to amber. I will stop you if the lights turn to red. There was one public forum petition received for this meeting. Members of the public, there were a total of 16 public statements received. A list will be displayed on the screen. And 12 members of the public indicated that they plan to attend and speak to their statements. They are displayed on the screen and we will run through these statements in order. I'll invite each person to speak for 1 minute. Please summarise your statement and bear in mind that they were published for councillors, the mayor and the public to read in advance of the meetings. First, do we have the Adam Streams?
Yes.
Thank you. You have 1 minute.
Hello. Good afternoon, Lord Mayor. My name is Adam Springs and I'm the proud owner of the Cafe Sucat. I'm here today to request 2 things. You'll revoke the request for a percentage of our annual turnover. I already know before I've completed the inappropriate request in my profit and loss spreadsheet that I can't afford to give any percentage away. And 2, consideration should be given to existing concessions and whether they wish to continue trading at a location where they might have spent years building a customer base and serving their community, rather than having to go through a complicated bidding process costing all parties time and money. Failure to do this could affect not only mine and other similar small independent businesses, but also our local suppliers and the local economy. My business, whilst always affected by weather, always provides a
10
safe
seconds.
and welcoming haven to those from all backgrounds and caters for all their individual needs, be it physically, mentally, socially, or dietary. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Moving on to PSO1. Jenny Ross. Do we have Jenny Ross here?
Good afternoon. On behalf of plant-based councils, I think it's important that this chamber be made aware of 4 related facts. Fact 1, 2023 was the hottest year on record. Fact 2, animal agriculture is one of the largest sources of greenhouse gas emissions and the single biggest cause of land use change, which makes the impact of a warming world all the worse. Fact 3, the obvious solution is recognised by the Council's own Bristol Good Food 2030 document, which states that reducing meat and dairy consumption is key to mitigating severe climate change impacts. And fact 4, unlike various others, including Exeter, Norwich, Oxfordshire, this Council has not prioritised the reduction of these animal products where it has influence. If we are to be serious in responding to the climate crisis with all tools available, this must change. Thank you.
Thank you very much. PSO2, Pam Patterson. Do we have Pam here?
Good afternoon. The government's climate change committee has said we must reduce the amount of meat we eat by 20-50% in order for the UK to reach net zero by 2050. This is a significant goal and one that the Council can support in 3 ways. Committing to 100% plant-based food in all internal catering, make plant-based menu options the first default whenever the Council has influence, and promoting plant-based eatings for residents of the city by removing eating area advertising at bus stops. These are not, as the Mayor suggested in December, about forcing people to eat particular foods. They're practical, realistic steps that show the city is serious about the claim to be world leading in terms of responding to climate change. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pam. Moving on to PSO4, I have Hasina Khan. Is she here? Thank you.
Bristol City Council, swallow your pride and join the call to end the genocide. Having the privilege of influence and choosing not to use it to save even a single life is murderous. Having the opportunity to be the voice of the voiceless and choosing to ignore them is evil-hearted. Choosing to see white lives as superior is most obviously racist. Supporting the brutal occupier is to continue supporting the brutal colonial project. Ignoring 75 years of ethnic cleansing while pretending to believe in and practice equality is the biggest lie. Have you heard us all call for a ceasefire, an end to the bombs and an end to the destruction? It's time to call for the 2 million Palestinians locked in the Gaza concentration camp to be free. Equality for all Palestinians, an end to Islamophobia, an end to the occupation, an end to the UK-backed genocide. We are calling for peace, justice and equality, and we are calling on Bristol City Council to admit their mistakes and do the same. In our thousands and in our millions, we are all Palestinians!
Stop this genocide!
Thank you very much. Moving on to statement 06, Nigel Varley, I believe.
Yes, it's Son. Yeah. Statement signed by 30 residents of Guild House. The council will be familiar with the problem because I made a statement at the last December meeting. It's an issue of equalities, that the equality impact assessment made at the beginning made insulting and discriminatory remarks about all people. It missed the main point, that we are adversely affected by the cold. We've had our insulating cladding removed, our inflammable cladding removed and not been replaced, so it's freezing cold at the moment. The council has failed to take note of our protected characteristic in terms of the 2010 Equalities Act, which is age. So we are now being discriminated against in having to pay out huge quantities of extra cost in heating. To keep warm, either that or suffering from the cold. So unless the council wants to avoid possible legal action for breach of the Equalities Act, we request that something's done to compensate us for the extra money we're having to pay through no fault of our own.
Statement 07, Katie Taylor.
I'm Katie Taylor of Bristol Women's Voice. I'm here on behalf of the Caring Economy Alliance. We're 10 organisations consisting of Bristol Women's Voice, Bristol Black Caring, the Care Support Centre, the Chinese Community Wellbeing Society, Co-Produce Care, March to the Mummies, the Women's Budget Group, the Women in Business Charter, and the West of England Centre for Inclusive Living. We call upon Bristol Council to commit to valuing the caring economy. Caring is a fundamental infrastructure of our society. It's the heart of all of our communities. We've all been cared for, and it's highly likely we'll be cared for again in the future. We've also all cared for someone, whether it's looking after a sick neighbour, a family member, a friend, caring for a dying parent, or looking after our children. Caring is everybody's business, and yet it's not visible and it's not valued. We know that some women will never experience the same economic security as their partners due to unequal leave, inflexible employment conditions that often mean carers must choose between caring and working. We know there are young disabled people in this city, for example, unable to reach their full potential because of limited care packages based on care assessments.
Can I ask you to wrap up? Sorry.
Sure. We have drawn up a manifesto, all of which are in the local authorities' gift. You can find more information about this in the QR code that's in the pouches that you've been given as you come in. If everybody hasn't got one of these pouches, there is a box available. Mari over there is handing it up. Please do take one. In it are messages from women across the city writing about the importance of the caring economy for them and how it impacts on their lives. We call on you to invest in the caring economy.
Thank you very much. Statement 8, Mubashar Chowdhury.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I take this opportunity to thank you everybody who signed the Gaza petition. More than 5,000 people signed this petition. I also thank all of your councillors who supported this and choose to stand on the right side of history at this difficult moment. And think in a way that, letting the city hall will not ease the pain and suffering of the Palestinian, but it will ease the pain and suffering of all of us Bristolians, because we will feel our representatives are doing the right thing, our representatives are standing for the humanity, and I would request all of you councillors, please use your democracy to challenge the bureaucracy, because what it is, 5,000 people signed, you are supporting. If this city hall is not lit with Palestinian flag, it means democracy is failing. Thank you very much.
Moving on to statement 10, Christina Biggs. Okay, then, moving on to statement 11, David Redwell and Gordon Richardson. I know I've seen David.
Yeah, thank you very much. Our concerns are about the organisation of the council, the setting up of a leader and deputy leader, and then commissions and committees. Once we've read through the report for hours of it, and we also attended a number of working parties, there's only one reference to the Mayor of the West of England through the Scrutiny Commission process. There is no reference to the West of England Mayoral Combined Authority in that document. There is no reference, we can see, to the Integrated Care Board, to North Sunset, South Gloucester and Bristol. There is no reference to the Western Gateway Transport, which Councillor Brown chairs on behalf of the region. No reference to the Western Gateway Partnership. And yet Bristol is the heart of the South West. At the end of the day, we're not a small parish council in Bristol. We have to work with the rest of the Charter Work area, the rest of the combined authorities, and the rest of the local councils. I understand North Somerset Labour Group said no, wanted to set up Wessex combined authority.
Can you wrap up this statement?
I just think we need to look at regionalism. I think that's been said by Maurice and others. We need to take this seriously. That's the game in town, and it should have been in this document. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to statement 12, Jennifer Priest on the Golden motion.
Thank you. Despite what developer-funded think tanks preach on social media, empty homes are a good thing. They contribute to housing shortages, exacerbate inequality, and drive up property prices. Equally, we have over 13,500 homes with the planning permission left unbuilt in Bristol, so we need to remember that new permissions can't guarantee new homes. We must encourage equitable housing distribution and utilization rather than focus solely on new construction. However, this isn't a replacement for new construction, it's in addition to the new local plan. Reviving all empty homes could nearly triple our yearly new housing supply. So to those that don't support this motion, I say, why the selective concern about supply only when it's lucrative to developers? This motion recognizes the urgency of the housing crisis and proposes pragmatic, multifaceted solutions that go beyond conventional approaches. It's a call to action for the Council to leverage existing resources, engage in collaborative initiatives, and prioritize the needs of its residents and the environment over the interests of the property industry. This should be something we all agree on. I urge everyone to support this motion. Thank you.
And now I'm very pleased to welcome back into the chamber Alderman Vari Threlfall.
Hi everyone.
Is this on? Yeah, thank you. As we heard just earlier, one of our colleagues, the councillor, was unable to make today's meeting because of childcare. Unfortunately, this is a story that most of my friends have faced at some point. Childcare in the city is in dire straits. Nurseries have 18-month waiting lists, childminders 6-month waiting lists, many childminders left the industry post-pandemic, let alone affordability costs. An average cost of affording the childcare place is about £15,000 a year. Now, that is unreachable for many people in the city. We have 11 maintained nurseries in the city that provide a really, really important role to help those individuals and those families who are unable to access childcare. One of them is St Paul's. It's also a regional practice hub. There are real practical things the council could do to tackle childcare, and I urge you please to read the Caring Economy Manifesto, look at the recommendations and suggestions, and hopefully think about how in the future, with the payment system coming in, you can contribute to tackling childcare in the city.
And finally, statement 16, Sarah Freeman. Do we have Sarah? No? Okay. Thank you. We'll now move to the public questions received, and we've got about 15 minutes left. The questions received here have been published on the website and are shared on screen now. 36 questions were received from members of the public. 18 of those have indicated that they wish to attend. We will try to cover as many questions as possible in the 15 minutes available. It may not be possible for everyone to speak, so we ask for your patience as we run through the questions in order. When I call on you, please read your question out and we will try to show the question on the screen. The Mayor will reply verbally. Following the response from the Mayor, you will be invited to ask a supplementary question. So, Vari, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, sure. So this is really about family hubs in the city and the target to increase the number of family hubs by 2024. So my question is, what will you do in the short, medium and long term to retain and increase the provision of family hubs? Ashford recently announced the £4.5 million that's awarded by the government to invest in these, so it'd be really interesting to know the thoughts of the strategic direction of the council in this area.
Thanks, and Helen, Councillor Helen Holland and Asher and other cabinet may come in on these questions as well, because we have a number of questions about care in the city today that are very welcome. I will say it was one of the first issues raised at our very first city gathering about care being seen as an infrastructure provision alongside transport and the rest, because it is the means by which people can enter into the economy and enter into public life as well. So one is we absolutely welcome the Women's Voice Manifesto for a Caring Economy as another important input to the city. We have actually embedded social value in our procurement process, which you'll remember as being a member of the cabinet that kept all our children's centres open, as well. And that includes paying a real living wage. Anyone who works for the city council is obviously paid a living wage, and we make sure our own carers have an uplift. But the provisions in our social value do make space for us to insist on care and provision within our activities.
Thank you very much. Claire Sharris, excuse my pronunciation. Oh, apologies. Sorry, Mara, you have supplementary.
Yeah, so I just had one supplementary. Thank you so much, Martin. I think it's important to note that the belonging strategy, the leadership that's taken very early on in this area was really important. And about 5 years ago, the decision was made to disentangle children's centres and family hubs from early years education and into social care. And we spent millions and millions and millions of pounds as a council doing this. Now, just recently, it's been moved back to education. So all of these very high-skilled professional individuals within children's centres and family
Is this a
hubs
question?
have been taken from social care into, I'm just explaining the background of my question, into education again. So I just wondered what was the rationale for that decision. Why was children's centres and family hubs moved from social care, where it's working really well and doing targeted guidance and intervention, into education, where a lot of those professionals are feeling a bit concerned about their future?
I'm going to hand over to Asha as the Cabinet Lead for Children and Education. Asha.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of why the decision was made, but I think you all need to be reminded of we are one council, so it doesn't matter whether or not it's being led by education. The workers who will still be working in the family hubs will still be those experts with that family support, social care background. It just, for us, it made more sense. And if you look at other family centres across the country, many of them are held and led by education. But I can give you a full response to some of the reasons behind that. But it was an agreement, and our heads of service agreed to that move, and the new incoming exec director is also supportive of that move.
Thank you, Asha. Okay, moving on to question 2, Claire Charis.
Thank you. Will you ensure that childcare and social care are articulated as infrastructures in local and strategic plans going forward as part of the commitment to the caring economy?
Yeah, thanks for the question again. So it is possible for childcare facilities to be funded partly through SIL because of provision made for childcare and social care as part of the range of infrastructure facilities and services in Bristol. So we have put that in with our social value, and our local plan does provide, we believe, there's just been brought through a positive context for the delivery of physical infrastructure which may be required for childcare and social care, and also contains policies which safeguard buildings used for community facilities, again a means of providing care. In developments, we've actively pushed developers to provide community facilities, employment and active frontages, and childcare and social care should form part of this conversation we have with them. So the infrastructure facilities and services to which development may contribute either through the community infrastructure levy or sometimes through planning obligations may include those community facilities, healthcare and social care facilities and jobs. How development contributes will depend on factors including whether it is directly responsible for the need for new facilities which may arise, and the legal responsibilities of the providers of childcare and social care. Aside from these plans, there is of course the Bristol One City plan, where we coordinate strategies of the city around our shared goals, and in which childcare is one of those shared goals.
Thanks, Claire. Did you have a supplementary question? No, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. Casey Taylor.
Hi. What steps will the council take to further invest in the caring economy for those it employs with caring responsibilities so they can access equitable opportunities? We know, for example, in the council, flexible working conditions and paid time for care is built into a lot of contracts, where a lot of employers don't necessarily know about this, particularly in respect of looking after caring responsibilities that aren't just childcare. So yeah.
What steps will you take?
So I'll make a start, and then again, if Helen or Asha were to come in, please feel free. So, once thanks for the work that's been done, and I will just throw the light there on Helen Godwin, Helen Holland, Nicola Beach, Asha Craig, for the work they've done, both in setting a standard within the council, but also the influence they want the council to have, across the wider cities. And I would also add that when we do develop our policies, we do so very closely with our trade unions as well, who are setting a standard, and we'll continue to review our policies to make sure we're at the forefront. So it is an important consideration for us. Our managers are trained and supported to put creative interventions, caring interventions in place to accommodate as many requests as possible, and we'd be grateful for suggestions from yourselves on how we can strengthen that. Helen, did you want to come in as well?
If I can, yeah, just to add to it, that obviously we've been championing the caring economy through the Women's Commission and Women's Voice, and you're doing a great job at getting that message out there. But it's also, I think, things like the networking, that the council is a signatory and a member of the Women in Business Charter, and I think that is really getting that message out there, that people, or that employers with flexible working arrangements are far likely to be able to recruit and retain people who've got caring responsibilities than those who haven't.
Katie, did you have a supplementary question?
No, I guess because we'd like to acknowledge what the council is doing, the steps that the council is doing on this agenda, and really welcoming that, and appreciate being able to work to further that and make sure it's consistent across. Thank you.
Can I just say, with the Commission as well, we're very aware that it's not just about the Council, it's about the whole range of organisations that shape life in the city. So we'd welcome further input through the One City office into that wider network, universities, health services, criminal justice, private sector, voluntary sector as well. We welcome that.
Thank you. Troy Tansker.
Hello. I'd like to talk on the subject of paid carers who are supporting disabled and older people. We know that people requiring care aren't getting the support they need. This means hundreds of us struggling to go to the toilet, to eat, to get dressed or wash, because they can't do these things without help. There's a large body of research now that evidences the lack of dignity, humanity and effectiveness of 15-minute short appointments. These impact on the lives of people and their families, as well as leading to longer-term costs related to isolation, illness and ill health. It's about early intervention. It's about picking up on things like...
Can you put this into a question? Sorry.
Yeah, the question is, will the council commit to ensuring all care appointments delivered as part of its contracts and those of the Integrated Care Board are a minimum of 1 hour? Thank you.
Thank you for this point, but I think 1 hour is a little bit kind of an arbitrary time frame for us, and I think I'm wary as a politician here in this of telling care workers what the minimum appointment time should be. What I would want to do though is make sure that we make space for a professional judgment on how much time is needed, and make sure that that where the assessment is that it needs to be more than 15 minutes, as you referenced that. I'll just use that as an example, that people aren't restricted to 15 minutes when more time is needed. Our adult social care services do recognise the importance of supporting people to remain in their homes for as long as possible. This is something that Helen Holland has been working incredibly hard on over the years. She's had the portfolio. It's the best outcomes for the city, and certainly the best outcomes for the person and their family. The care services we have, the adult social care, supports about 1,400 people through commissioned home care services, and each of these has a personalised support plan. BNSSG, that Dave referred to earlier on, our Health Footprint Integrated Care Board, also supports individuals across the health and care system to remain well in their communities. And the number of people we're supporting within their own homes has increased in recent years, as I'm sure you'll be aware as well. So we support plans that are tailored to each individual's needs, following a strengths-based assessment. People can be supported to remain at home with varying levels of need.
Did you have a supplementary question?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. Sue Cohen.
The average salary for social care staff in Bristol is 8% less than the already low national average. 1 in 10 social care jobs are vacant in the city, and many are leaving the service for better paying conditions in supermarkets and warehouses. It's welcome news that in 2020...
Sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to put this in a question.
Okay, the question is around private providers who profiteer at the expense of both social care workers and taxpayers. What commitment will the council make to improve the retention, working conditions and pay for social care workers in contracts that ensure a minimum of the national living wage, career progression, and include funding to backfill posts so that staff can attend training courses and not have to train in their own time? Because private profiteers only allow 3 days training when they employ people.
Should we ask the Mayor to answer that?
Well, certainly, I'm going to let Helen take this one, but just to say, the recruitment retention challenging across a lot of our caring professions is a major challenge for Bristol, which is one of the reasons we drove in so heavily on delivering affordable homes across Bristol. Maria Kane from the North Bristol's Trust was raising with us recently the difficulty of recruiting with the cost of purchasing and rents in the city as well. So it is high up on our agenda. Helen, my first note is about pride to care, but let me take you away because you've led on that.
Yeah, I mean, we are members of Proud to Care, which is an organisation across the region that promotes good employment within the care sector, and many of our providers are also signed up to Proud to Care. We're a signatory to the Youth and Ethical Care Charter, and that particularly is for home care providers. And I think there's only 3, I'm looking at Hugh, of our home care providers who aren't following the elements of the charter, and one of those is around, going back to the question about 15-minute slots, is no 15-minute slots. It's also about paid travel time, so that carers don't feel as if they're under pressure getting from one call to the next, and that they're doing that in their own time. And I think that the other thing is that we've taken on the, and Katie and the Women's Commission and others know this, that and Bristol Women's Voice, sorry, that the caring economy work, we highlighted it at a joint session on workforce with the Health and Wellbeing Board and the Economy and Skills Board, because, as we've said, those workforce shortages don't just affect health and social care, it's right across the piece. And who knew that actually giving people a decent wage and giving them decent conditions improves on the retention rates? And that's what those providers have found, is that when they do start paying a decent wage, paying travel time, etc., that they're far more likely to retain people. And actually our workforce within home care is probably as good as it's ever been at the moment, and that isn't an area, thank goodness, of shortage. And we are working with right across the health system to make sure that those health and care workforce shortages in other parts of the system, that we're doing all we can to recruit from new communities who might not have thought that they were eligible for that kind of work. There's lots of very exciting work going on.
Thank you. Sue, if you're very quick, I can offer you a supplementary question. No? Okay.
I mean, but fundamentally, we're in a context, and tackling adult social care challenges cannot be done without a major reframing of finance from the centre. There has to be a wholesale chapter change in the way of government is finance.
Right, well, thank you all. I'm afraid we've run out of time for the rest of the questions. However, all the questions will receive a written reply from the Mayor. So that concludes today's public forum. I'd like to inform members of the public that the adjournment for today's meeting is expected around 3:45 p.m. I invite you to remain if you would like to hear the other agenda items. If not, please leave quietly as possible. So we'll move on to agenda item 7, petitions notified by councillors. There's been one councillor petition received for this meeting. Councillors are invited to speak for 1 minute. Councillor Hopkins, would you like to present the petition?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. We have decided to call the Bristol City Council to invest funds in the car park, and to do that in conjunction with speaking to local residents and in consultation with the local councillors. We've suffered from lack of investment from the council parks department for over 10 years, and the parks are highly regarded, but that's all because of local efforts and not because of investment from outside. The new development will produce sills in advance of £4 million, and that big chunk of that deserves to be spent in the park close by. We've established the principle that strategic sill spending can be put in the parks, and it should be put in the parks that are near to the strategic, the major developments. So I hope that all councillors will, when the time comes, support that investment. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Moving on to agenda item 8, the petition debate, Israel-Gaza conflict. This petition has reached the 3,500 signature threshold to qualify for a full council debate. 20 minutes is the maximum time allowed for this item, so I'll speak quickly. The petition organiser will be permitted up to 5 minutes to present the petition and its objectives. We will then proceed to the council debate. I will also ask the Mayor or relevant Cabinet member to respond at the end of the debate. As a reminder, this is not an interactive discussion involving the public. The issues raised in the petition and the comments of members during the debate will be referred to the Mayor and relevant Cabinet member for a response. For information, a response from the Mayor to the 12th December councillor petition on this subject was published before this meeting and is available on the council website. The petition organiser is Councillor Zoe Goodman. May I please ask Councillor Goodman to present the petition?
Well done, Zoe. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll just find the right place. So, yeah, I know I've got 5 minutes to present this petition, but with no right of reply, so I'll try to address potential responses in advance in this speech. Our petition on the Israel-Gaza conflict has been signed by 5,466 people on the website, showing the strength of feelings of Bristolians on this issue. The petition calls, as hopefully everybody here knows now, for an immediate ceasefire and lifting of the siege to end the humanitarian disaster in Gaza, and for Bristol's political representatives to add their voice to this call and to push towards a just political settlement. For a minute's silence at full council to commemorate all those killed in the atrocities, and for City Hall to be lit up in Palestinian colours to express empathy for those who have lost their lives or been injured. It shouldn't require a petition to be brought for these things to happen, and I'm glad that a minute's silence was held at the December meeting and again today to focus on the dead in Gaza. We believe that the other petition requests should not be controversial either, and we would like to ask all here to support this petition in this debate. I note the response of the Mayor to the petition, published today, which included reference to 7th of October's attacks on Israel by the terrorist organisation Hamas, with no direct mention of the Israeli bombardment of Gaza, the latest round of which commenced on 9th of October, the same day that the City Hall was lit up in the Israeli colours. The only real reference to Israeli agency and the bombardment of Gaza talks about risks of Israel winning tactical military victories at the expense of strategic defeats. Yet again, passive language was used about Palestinian victims of these bombardments and the ongoing siege, such as the situation facing Palestinians is unbearable, followed by victim blaming. Hamas makes it difficult to distinguish between military targets and civilians.
Shame on you.
So over the Christmas holidays, I was struck by the words of the pastor of the Evangelical Lutheran Christmas Church in Bethlehem. As people who know me know, I'm not Christian nor religious, but his words touched me, and I think it will touch people here too. The church created a nativity scene with the figure of Jesus in a keffiyeh, the Palestinian cloth, surrounded by rubble, and the church's pastor, the Reverend Dr. Munter Isaac, gave a Christmas sermon on the 23rd of December. I'm going to read excerpts of this today. The pastor directed his message at Christian leaders around the world, but I believe that political leaders should also hear his message. So this is Christ under the rubble. Dr. Munter Isaac said, "We are angry, we are broken. This should have been a time of joy. Instead we are mourning, we are fearful. More than 20,000 killed, thousands are still under the rubble. Close to 9,000 children killed in the most brutal ways, day after day. 1.9 million displaced, hundreds of thousands of homes destroyed. Gaza as we know it no longer exists. This is an annihilation, this is genocide. The world is watching. The people of Gaza are sending live images of their own execution. Maybe the world cares, but it goes on. We are asking here, could this be our fate in Bethlehem, in Ramallah, in Jenin? Is this our destiny too? We are tormented by the silence of the world. Leaders of the so-called free are lined up one after the other to give the green light for this genocide against the captive population. They gave the cover. Not only did they make sure to pay the bill in advance, they veiled the truth and context, providing the political cover. The war has confirmed to us that the world does not see us, the Palestinians, as equal. Maybe it's the colour of our skins. Maybe it is because we are on the wrong side of the political equation. So they say it takes killing 100 Palestinians to get a single Hamas militant, then so be it. We are not humans in their eyes. The hypocrisy and racism of the Western world is transparent and appalling. They always take the word of Palestinians with suspicion and qualification. No, we're not treated equally. Yet on the other side, despite a clear track record of misinformation and lies, their words are always deemed infallible.
White supremacy.
To our European friends, I never ever want to hear you lecture us on human rights or international law again. We are not liars, he says, I guess. It does not apply to us according to your own logic. It is self-defence, we are told. And I continue to ask, how is the killing of 9,000 children self-defence? How is the displacement of 1.9 million Palestinians self-defence? We are outraged by the complicity of, he's put the church and I put political leaders. Let it be clear, friends, silence is complicity, and empty calls for peace without a ceasefire and end to occupation, and the shallow words of empathy without direct action, all under the banner of complicity. So here is my message from
If I can just ask you to wrap up, please, Zoe, thank you.
Yeah, Gaza today has become the moral compass of the world. Gaza was held before October the 7th and the world was silenced. Should we be surprised that there's silence now? If you are not appalled by what's happening in Gaza, if you're not shaken to your core, there is something wrong with your humanity. If you fail to call this a genocide, it is on you. It is a sin and a darkness you willingly embrace. Some have not even called for a ceasefire. I feel sorry for you. And he says, Palestinians will recover, they will rise. But he says, for those who are complicit, I feel sorry for you. Will you ever recover from this? No. Your charity and your words of shock after the genocide won't make a difference. No. And I know those words of shock are coming, but your words won't make a difference. Words of regret won't suffice for you.
I must ask you to wrap up, please,
One more sentence, He says, and let me say it, we will not accept your apology after the genocide. What has been done has been done. I want you to look in the mirror and ask, where was I when Gaza was going through a genocide? Please support this petition.
Thank you, Zoe. I'd like to call on Councillor Carla Denyer to speak on behalf of the Green Group.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Every civilian life lost is a disaster. Children are not a legitimate target of war. Restricting food, water, fuel and medical supplies for over 2 million people, nearly half of whom are children, is collective punishment. It is cruel and it is against international law. Forced migration of an entire population, that is ethnic cleansing. And it is against international law. The Green Party is clear. We are calling for a full ceasefire and for the international community to renew its efforts towards real and lasting peace. The violence must end. Hamas's attacks on civilians in Israel were brutal. unjustified, and broke international law, they have been rightly condemned universally. But that atrocity does not justify the mass human suffering we have seen in Gaza. And destroying Gaza will not end this or any conflict. It will perpetuate the cycle of violence. There is no military solution. To isolate the extremists and secure lasting peace between Israelis and Palestinians, the only option is a just political settlement based on the end of occupation of the Palestinian territories. I urge the government and the Labour frontbench in Westminster to support an immediate bilateral ceasefire, return of all hostages, stopping the humanitarian crisis in Gaza where starvation of civilians is being used as a weapon of war, making sure the perpetrators of rapes and sexual violence on the 7th of October are brought to justice, and a full investigation of war crimes allegations against all parties, ending the illegal occupation of the Palestinian territories and the decades of oppression, dispossession and discrimination against the Palestinian people. As political leaders, all of us, it is our responsibility to listen to people and use our platforms to stand up for what is right. As we see a rise in hate from Islamophobia, anti-Semitism and racism, we must draw together. Muslim and Jewish communities here in the UK especially need our support and solidarity. So whether you're a person of faith or none, we must all resist those who seek to divide us. We must stand together to oppose violence. As national co-leader of the Green Party, as well as a councillor here, I'm using every opportunity I can to advocate for justice and peace. I understand there'll be no vote on this debate because of rules of the Council's constitution, but I and the Greens urge all councillors from all parties to use your voices within your respective parties to call for a ceasefire, for an end to the siege and for a just and lasting peace. And we formally ask the Mayor, as the only person in this room vested with the power to do so, on behalf of the Council, please write to the Foreign Secretary and Shadow Foreign Secretary on behalf of this Chamber and ask them to support a ceasefire. Thank you.
To respond to the Labour Group.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. First, thank you to the petitioners for bringing us here today. Bristol is an international city, and that wouldn't be the case without Bristolians feeling passionately about the humanitarian needs of people overseas. The scenes in Gaza are utterly heartbreaking, and our thoughts are with everybody in Gaza and Israel who has lost loved ones. The horrors and the scale of death and destruction in both Israel and Gaza is intolerable. Let me be clear, we need an immediate, sustained ceasefire, and the Bristol Labour Party backs this call. Any ceasefire must be sustainable and in the short term focus on the significant humanitarian efforts required and the return of hostages. The attack by the terrorist organisation Hamas on 7th of October 2023 must continue to be condemned in the strongest possible terms. Hamas also continue to hold hostages, hide among civilians and fire rockets into Israel. Equally, despite the demands of the international community made of Israel, far too many civilians are being killed. With nearly 2 million people displaced and blocks on supplies of essential aid causing a humanitarian catastrophe. This dire situation must not continue. We need humanitarian truce. Civilians need to be protected, urgent humanitarian relief provided, and the release of hostages secured. In the space truce brings, intense diplomacy should begin to set new terms under which fighting does not restart. The international community can and must make political progress to what we all want, peace in the region and an end to conflict.
Ceasefire now!
Hamas must release all the remaining hostages and all attacks on Israel and have no role in the future governance of Gaza. Israel must agree to end its bombing campaign, allow unfettered humanitarian access into Gaza, and end settler violence and displacement in the occupied West Bank. This will also reduce the dangerous risks of regional escalation. Gaza is an integral part of the future Palestinian state. Anyone displaced from Gaza must be allowed to return. The UK, which has historic ties to the region, has a duty in helping to rebuild it. In the longer term, the only means of achieving and maintaining a sustainable ceasefire is through a two-state solution. There will need to be a political process for a just and lasting peace, and so it remains essential that the international community supports a path however complex and challenging, to a two-state solution with a free and secure Palestine and a free and secure Israel. There is no path to Israeli safety and security.
Stop it now!
Please let the speakers speak.
There is no pathway to Israeli safety and security that does not also ensure safety and security of Palestinians. A sustained ceasefire is necessary but not sufficient for long-term peace. There have been no serious peace talks in more than a decade. That's why there must be a new political process that has the capacity, conviction and commitment to turn the rhetoric of two states living side by side in peace into reality. We are confident the next National Labour government will be dedicated to working towards this goal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my Lord Mayor. I actually share and echo a lot of the sentiments that have been expressed today. I think we all hope and pray for a peace in Gaza, in Israel, in fact the wider Middle East, because it's not the only occasion of bloodshed in that region. What Hamas did in October when they charged over the border and slaughtered Israelis, whatever the justification, there can be no justification for executing children. We know justification for burning people alive, rape, torture, and everything else was carried out on that day. There just isn't. It was a level of barbarity we've not seen since ISIS, and I'm afraid to say Hamas are animals. And what happened there was sadly destabilising the region. No one did it. Israel was trying to normalise relations with Saudi Arabia.
Please can we hear the speakers?
Well, can he speak the truth?
And this is what has destabilised that.
He's not lying.
Now they did that. They knew that Israel would do what it did, because it always does. It always comes down on the hammer of God. We know that, because it did, but it does. And what they did, and they knew it would do that, because they took hostages and hid behind them. And actually,
please can I have order in the public gallery? If the disruption to the meeting continues, I will have no choice but to adjourn the meeting.
Ask him to be honest with what he's talking about.
Everyone is entitled to an opinion, and free speech is something that we very much support.
It's not an opinion, it's lies. He is being...
Can you please, this is not a public debate.
And what they did, and I believe they're doing, is they're using the Palestinians as a human shield themselves. And so what it is hard, as the Mayor said, to differentiate what's going on, and innocents are dying. And that is absolutely appalling. And what we need, if we're going to have a lasting ceasefire on this, is we need both sides to want it. But Hamas have already said that they intend to carry on again, and Israel won't.
What about the West Bank then?
It's a genocide!
So now
I need order in the public gallery, or I will adjourn the meeting.
Well, end the meeting, this is rubbish.
Right.
They're complete rubbish. Yeah,
So what I
sit
believe
there,
we need-
and genocide is taking place, and it's blah, blah,
Can you
blah.
please sit down and let the speaker speak? This is a final warning now. I will adjourn the meeting, and then nobody will be able to hear. Councillor Weston.
We want to see an end to the violence, but as has been said, it has to be a lasting peace. Hamas cannot be part of that solution. They can't. They need to disarm. And
Marvin, you can't tell your party.
No, I'm sorry. Okay.
No, I'm going. You're disgusting, the whole lot of you. There's kids out there dying. They're being bombed. They're living
Okay, but we're going to have to adjourn the meeting. I'm afraid. Can we have councillors to the... We have councillors behind the doors, please. Thank you very much. Clear the chamber.
I'm afraid everybody's on the
Hang on, sorry.
Bureaucracy.
We might be able to carry on.
5,000 people died, children died, and you didn't say a word about that.
All right.
You're dehumanizing them sitting in Bristol.
Thank you very much, dear chamber.
This is not right.
I understand. It's not right.
उसको करी जा रहे हैं हमास
Excuse me, can I have a word with you outside? Okay, good. Back the question. Thank you. I need to pack my shit up first, though.
I can look after your stuff.
Check as well.
Oh, you're not going to leave.
Apparently, I can do it really slowly and see what I'll put your flag away. Wow, probably good. Everybody's out. Actually, say that. Did you scrap that? Yeah. I've made it easy.
Always a bonus.
Sit there, is it?
They might like that. Check all my stuff actually.
Some people say.
Yeah, I mean, if people make them copies of
Just take it.
What about people who left their stuff here?
Do you know those people? We know the person.
Sorry,
young lad. He's going to come to the reception desk.
Sorry.
No, that's right. Yeah, not exactly your choice, but...
Tories, for heaven's sake. Jesus,
Darren something. No. Marcus? Mark Weston, that's the one.
Yeah.
Mark Weston. Conservative. That's their policy. They're always talking about Hamas. This has nothing to do with Hamas.
What's happening in the West Bank? Where is the march in the West Bank? Why they are bulldozing?
Come on. He's there twice and I visited the city myself.
It's not about politics, it's not about anything, it's about humanity.
This is a very relevant question. You're obviously witnesses and this is improved stuff. Do you know this gentleman?
Yeah.
Okay. Is he like have followers behind him? I'm trying to judge if he's like somebody with a lot of people behind him or if he's just like a guy who turns up.
He's,
you mean well?
He means well in the International Human Rights Movement. Yeah, IHRM.
Is that just
well, one thing we can't deny, it wasn't just a protest what he arranged.
Okay.
You know, that wasn't, and that wasn't, in the history of Britain, that was the biggest. So, he's done it for a good cause, that's all I want to say.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go.
It's a press person here. I think, are you press? This woman has been criminally, what is that charge?
Yeah, what was the charge? Big camera, isn't it? It is. Jeremy Beadle used to go around with something that size. He gets a bit modern and small.
That's possible already. What's she being charged with?
No, what charge?
What are you talking about?
She said that she's being charged.
Got it wrong.
Is she being...
To know the facts.
Okay.
So I have asked if you can show the policeman that what the man was speaking about was factually incorrect, and this is why the meeting had to be stopped. Yeah.
No.
Well, it is potentially a criminal offence.
Is it a criminal offence?
Yes, it is.
Right.
Sorry, no. It's not.
Speaking in a public gallery.
So what is she being charged?
Why do you keep asking that question?
Because
you're not being charged with anything. Where do you get that from? You're making things up.
They seem to be fact.
We're trying to qualify what you're saying. You're saying that this woman has committed
her
a
behaviour
criminal offence.
within the chamber.
This isn't going to be a broadcast. We're speaking to her about it. She's the lady that's identified herself as involved and interfered with the proceedings in there. It's a public meeting, which is what we've explained on a number of occasions. And you can commit an offence by interfering with a public meeting.
That's not in the Constitution, I'm afraid. That's not part of Bristol's Constitution, I'm afraid. The chair has the right to clear the chamber, that's agreed, and we're all free to go now.
So
some of us might be allowed back in.
What I've said to this lady is we need a means of being able to contact her.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Okay. And how do you know that then?
Because
why have you suddenly become the spokesperson?
You don't need to get people's details for something that's covered by Bristol's Constitution.
What if it's a criminal offence?
I think we
I
might
didn't
need to
even
arrest
know I
her.
was committing anything.
We don't
No
want to
one
go down
told
that
me.
route.
You've got her email address, presumably, and from people.
What's your email address?
Can I give him my email address?
To be honest, you may as well, because it's not going to make much difference. But it will say, but you don't have to.
I don't have to. I'm not going to
That's fine.
We'll speak stuff in your face. I'm filming this interaction for my own and my friend's safety.
We just want to clarify why you're questioning this woman.
It's not a problem. You all need to leave now then. We'll circulate your image if we need to at a later date. Once we've spoken to them and
They do have the right.
Why would you do that?
They have the right to ask you to leave.
I know, I'm not bothered about it. I want to know why they're going to
So if she just leaves, that's great.
It's private property. It's your opportunity to go.
It's not.
We don't want this situation to escalate. So now we're giving you the opportunity to go.
Yeah. So
Now they're saying you can go after telling
you're right. She is confused. They've asked
Never
you
had
to
any.
leave.
I can leave. That's not a problem for me.
You probably know.
Yeah, no, I'm quite happy to.
Okay, cool.
You were leaving anyway, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Okay,
I
cool.
really appreciate your help.
No,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Cool. You lost your hat. Almost. How's it going, Alex?
Thanks. So just to clarify, was it under arrest or just been charged?
Are you going to clarify that, mate?
What do you want clarified?
Were they being... Were you seeking...
He knows the answer. If they were under arrest, then they wouldn't have been allowed to go, would they? It's common sense.
He can't guess to do that. He's a journalist. He needs to have stuff on record. If you don't want to give a comment, that's fine. The press office. Who tried to contact you?
I'd argue you need to be not harsh as a journalist, not interfering with
I'm not employed as a journalist.
No, but it's not helpful when we're trying to sort out some form of disorder. You come along with your giant camera and stick it in our faces. It's not helpful.
Hang on, I think it hurts because they're now on the way out.
You're legal advisor, and you're telling them what she should and shouldn't be doing, and you then potentially do it in defence yourself by obstructing us in the execution of our duty.
So I'm going to have to point the camera into that.
That's fine.
So you're saying that if I give somebody advice, that could be...
The way in which you're delivering your advice is you're trying to hinder what we're doing.
If I got in the way, I absolutely would be. That's why I'm backing up slowly now. Hey, Tim, how's it going?
What's your name again?
My name is Dan Ackroyd, believe it or not.
I know, I recognise you. Did you come here a lot?
Yes, I do.
Oh, well, that would be
Did you manage to film any of that?
Quite good, yeah.
I think just you being there.
Yeah, just you being there with that.
They're just big bullies.
Are you the cable?
Yeah, I'm from the Bristol Post.
How are you?
Oh, what's your name?
So I'll just stand at the window.
I'm actually going to stand here.
She's got 16,000 followers.
Right, just take a photo of my phone. That's my username. Yeah, it's got it. Top left. Yeah, just take a photo.
Sorry, you're kind of holding the proceedings up at the moment. I don't need to be rude. Yeah. Sorry, so you're going to have to go as well. You were part of the group that were disrupting.
No, I wasn't part of the group.
I think you were.
No, I was holding a flag. I wasn't.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
What?
I'll give you a pen.
That's ridiculous.
It's the chair's choice. The police officer was being inappropriate, but the chair does have it's his discretion to clearly change that and allow that.
So it's not you're being banned for good.
No, but I mean, like selectively, like picking people, anyone with like Harry Potter. That doesn't necessarily mean you in that group.
Yes, he's allowed to do that.
Stupid.
It's
like I say, it's not in perpetuity. It's just for today.
Do me a favour.
Yeah. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, that's fine.
Although I'll try next year. But are you sticking around?
I mean, I've got no massive reason to. I might go down to the store in a bit, but yeah.
I'll send you a message on Twitter.
Alright, no worries.
Thanks for
That's so much more.
Just reckon these need to be way stickier if we need to keep them on.
Need to be what, sorry? Oh, way stickier?
Yeah.
Just carry it. Just carry it. Keep it in your pocket.
you, I really appreciate that.
Oh yeah, do you want me to look professional or pattern? Because you've probably got quite a few patterns.
I don't mind.
I'll send it.
You go for it. Because yeah, you just any photos you've got already where you're visible are great. So thanks so much.
Okay,
We should tell. Happy New Year as well, by the way.
I do, yeah.
Still there. Don't choke yourself. So what happened to everyone in the public gallery? Did they get ejected from the building? Or
Yeah,
whole
James Luke here. They're going to be
I'm going on walkabout.
James reading into it last night.
3 thank you.
Like 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
All right. Like a post
Pardon?
If you do want to watch the rest of the meeting, you're welcome to
Cool.
go to the
Okay.
conference room.
Conference room. Not the chamber.
Not the chamber.
I've actually not been in the conference room before, so I'll go and check it out.
That is in total breakfast. I did watch the movies with us. Yeah, great.
In the end, vast majority of
You're not saying
I was thinking of you. We're not allowed back in.
You're joking.
Camera's on, by the way, but yeah.
Where are we going to?
One day by.
If it's unless you have any serious objection, you're going to get mentioned later. So yes, check the webcam.
Okay, cool. Jeff Wright?
The new constitution.
Fantastic. Did you hear English?
Yes, we did hear you.
Did you understand why? I did text it to, DM it, not DM, Twitter it to the Green Party.
I haven't looked yet.
What I sent to the Bristol Green Party was one of the outstanding things to be resolved that wasn't by the Committee on the Working Group was a equitable distribution of time as part of public forum to prevent things like a special interest group, even when it's very well meaning, like childcare, from taking over the event.
I mean, probably optics in childcare bad.
I'm never going to office myself, so it's like charging at those tickets. Anyway,
see you later.